What about black people who murder white people every day? Do a special on that. Well, hello, Rachel, you racist little see you next Tuesday. I'll call you the actual word in a little bit. I know when you open a video with those like mean words, TikTok doesn't like it. You want me to shy away from talking about white racist people who murder black people simply for being black? Why is that, Rachel? Is that because you enjoy it when that happens and you don't want people to know about it? Question for you, Rachel. Is the Confederate flag currently the wallpaper on your phone? Is your brother's finger currently inside of you as we speak, Rachel? That's disgusting. You shouldn't do that, but hey, you do you. Something tells me, Rachel, that you own a lot of white sheets with holes in them. Gee, Rachel, I wonder who you voted for. Hi, Rachel, is your low IQ ass new here or something? This is a true crime page where I have covered probably well over 4,000 cases before. And you would know, Rachel, that I have covered plenty of cases where the killer was black and the victim was white. Or when the killer was Hispanic and the victim was black. Or the killer was white and the victim was black. And the killer was white and the victim was a female. Or the killer was white and the victim was a black female. Or the killer was white and the victim was an Asian or a Hispanic person. You see, Rachel, you want to have some sort of tally. Who kills more people? Because you would think that if a certain demographic kills more people than others, well then the others, well they're still good in my book. They don't kill as many people. They're all murderers, Rachel, you idiot. They're all murderers. So I cover stories about murderers who kill innocent victims. But sometimes, Rachel, sometimes the victim is a black person who is killed specifically because they are black. I don't know if I've ever covered a case where a white person was killed by a black person because that person was white. Just like I've covered plenty of cases where some white person murders a gay person for being gay. Those are called hate crimes, Rachel. Have you heard of them before? You've probably committed several. It's not a scoreboard, Rachel, you dumb taint licker. Do you want to sympathize with a demographic of people who you think kill less people but still kill people? Humans murder other humans, Rachel. Once a person kills another person, they're a killer. They're a monster. They're evil. No matter the color of their skin. Because at the end of the day, Rachel, whether they're a white killer, a black killer, an Asian killer, a Hispanic killer, a gay killer, you name it, at the end of the day, Rachel, they're still killers. You seem to take it personally, Rachel, when I mention that a black person is killed by a racist white person. Because when that happens, Rachel, it is still murder, just like every killer is a killer, but it's also in its own category, a more disgusting category. But a white person, a fragile white person, is so scared of another person who has different skin color than them, then that person must die. Imagine being that weak, Rachel. Imagine being such a weak-minded person that you have to shoot a black person from afar because you don't like their skin color. Killing them because that black individual is fighting for equal rights, for civil rights. Imagine being a fragile, weak little white person who ties another black person up behind their truck, drags them around town, peeling their skin off of their body and killing them simply because they are black. It's murder, but it's also a hate crime murder. A murder fueled by racism, Rachel. Something that lives very deeply within you. Imagine being gay and being tied up to a fence post and beaten to death by a bunch of fragile straight white men because they don't like that you're gay. Imagine being lured away because you're a gay man by your so-called friends when they throw your body into a hole and then rip your body apart to pieces with machine guns because you're gay. See, you don't have to live with that fear, that problem. You don't have to be afraid of someone attacking you because of your skin color. You don't have to be afraid of being killed or attacked by people because of who you naturally love.
The majority race of Singapore Chinese people need to stand up for our minority races now. Active below is Dinesh, where he shared a story recently that he was in school with his friend taking a lift. A group of foreign students came in, they were from mainland China, and they started talking smack about them, making derogatory jokes, and also jokingly threatened to kick them off the lift, all in Mandarin, because they assume Dinesh and his friend can't speak it, even though they do. And before you go, like, why can't they just stand up for themselves in this situation? They were the victims here. They were probably shocked, very hurt, and probably angry, because why the hell is this happening in my own home country? If there was another local Singaporean in this lift and the person was Singaporean Chinese, I hope that they will speak up. Mainland Chinese people don't think that we are their equals. In case Singaporean Chinese people are not clear enough, they think that we are below them. We can't even speak Mandarin properly. Malaysian Chinese people speak better Mandarin and write better Mandarin than us. There was even people questioning whether this thing actually happened to Dinesh, and I'm gonna tell you my story now, not trying to make this about me, to prove that what he was saying is right. This happened last month in a mall. I was with my husband. We were taking the lift down and the lift had to stop at one of the levels and the security guard had to hold the doors and check the lift. It was an Indian uncle. There was another Chinese couple with us in the lift with their helper, and the Chinese couple gave themselves like the, oh my god, what is he doing? Look. So the security uncle was like, sorry to disturb, the lift okay, right? And I was like, yeah, all good. And he's like, thank you so much. And then he just walked out of the lift, like back out at the entrance. And as the doors were closing, the couple talked to each other in Mandarin. 他为什么要停这个电梯？是什么回事呢？都没有问题。And the husband replied to the wife, 这些人是这样的。He's saying this kind of people is like that. And before you go like, oh, you're overthinking, that's not what he meant. Please stop lying to yourself. Thank you. I gritted my teeth and replied, 他只是在做他的工作，他查这个电梯有什么故障。And they were taken aback. They were like, oh, okay. So yes, situations like this do happen. And I am hoping that every Singaporean Chinese people that somehow maybe are becoming bystanders to microaggressions, outright aggressions like this, like of racism, can you stand up for your local Singaporeans? Our citizenship comes before our race. We are Singaporean first. When we don't stand up, we don't push back that, hey, this kind of behavior is not allowed in Singapore. That's how we are emboldening and giving them encouragement that, hey, if Singapore majority race gets to treat the minorities like that, we are even better than them, so we can treat them worse. Case in point, we are already having Chinese restaurants that don't have English signboards, English menus, they don't even hire English speaking staff, and their staff is all of a certain race only. You know, even Chinese companies that are opening up in Singapore that only hire Chinese individuals, or they try to pretend and say that they only hire Chinese speaking people, but when an Indian or Malay person tries to apply for the job, they're like, oh, it's not a right fit. Stop being blind, stop having your head in the sand like an ostrich to what is happening in Singapore. And before somebody in the comment section saying that I'm a hypocrite because when the Western brands came into Singapore, we didn't fight back or do anything like that. Unfortunately, they colonized us first. That's why we are all speaking English. And our common working language is all English. It is not Mandarin. Every other cuisine, Thai, Korean, Japanese, Western, Texan, whatever, open in Singapore, they have an English menu. Why the hell does your business not have one? Or at least they hire people from all different kind of races, okay? Not just F&B, but like just general companies. I know that some people might call my stance xenophobic. I'm not just against foreigners from China, just to be clear. I'm against all foreigners that refuse to behave well in Singapore, that refuse to assimilate into our culture. That is what I'm against.
I don't care how many times this take is gonna get me cancelled, but it shouldn't even be a debate because white people cannot experience racism. Racism, by the sociological definition, the researched definition, is the systemic oppression based on race. Now, white people cannot experience systemic oppression based on their race. Can they experience prejudice? Yes, absolutely. Can someone go, oh, I hate all people? Is that bad? Yes. Like, does that hurt feelings? Like, yes. But I swear to God, if one person brings up one case where somebody, like, someone because of the fact that they were white, like, talk to the hand, okay? Talk to people like this because I don't have the energy to deal with you. Must I bring up slavery? Must I bring up, like, daily hate crimes? Must I bring up literally everything else? Must I bring up that this shit is fucking institutionalized for people of color? It is not institutionalized for white people. America quite literally built highways between and through black neighborhoods, like away from white neighborhoods, to segregate them when segregation was illegal. They made loopholes to continue to be racist to black people. And of course, for my yellow fellows out there, with love of course, like, they be doing shit to us too. Like, they do crazy shit to us too. Like, remember back in 2020 where everybody's like, oh my god, if you don't eat dog, or if you didn't eat dog, then maybe we wouldn't be here right now. Like, guys, we have lost the plot. White people, has anything like this happened to you on a massive global level, or, you know, on an institutionalized level? Like, no. Again, is it bad if somebody bullies you because you are white? Yes. Nobody's saying that that's not bad. We're just saying that that's not racism. white people has never been denied an opportunity just because they're white. And don't you fucking bring up DEI, okay? Don't you fucking bring that up. Don't you bring up affirmative action. Don't you bring up anything like that, because if you need to bring that up, you don't understand. Okay, this conversation is not for you. And honestly, like, I'm all for having conversation with people I disagree with, but at this time right now, I am angry. At this time right now, I do not have patience. So please come back in 2 to 4 business days, and then we can have a productive conversation about this. But currently, I do not play in my face. And honestly, what sparked this was because I literally made a video going like, hey, so the phrase "who set that system up" is very nuanced, okay? You cannot use that against black men when they're talking about racism. You can't use that because it doesn't apply there. You need to look at the context. You need to have critical thinking skills. And people are like, you know what? I actually disagree with that. And I'm just like, guys, like, did we all go to school or not? Because I thought school was a requirement. And even if you didn't go to school, I fear, right? If you did a little bit of research, you would understand why black people and minorities and people of color and queer people and women and etc. are at more of a disadvantage than people who do not have those traits, people who are not these types of people. Like, guys.
It's taught. And I can tell you that because I've experienced it. See, I was raised in a sundown town. I was raised being told that black people are dangerous and that they were against us. Because of that, I was terrified of black people. Till around the age of 14 or so, when I went to high school and unlearned that. And then later unlearned it through joining the military, and, you know, I'm still unlearning things every day. I'm still learning new things every day. But I can tell you, my children don't feel the same way that I did. So I want to tell y'all a story that healed a little bit of my inner child. So my daughter, we had moved to a new place, you know, neighborhood and everything. My daughter, she went to school on her first day, and she came back just ranting and raving about this new friend she had made. And every day for such a long time, I heard about this little black boy she met and she was friends with, and it was one of her best friends. And she would tell me all the things about how they liked the same songs, and they liked the same games, and they liked gymnastics, and, you know, all these different things that they had in common, and why they were friends, and, you know, all this stuff. But just talking about them all the time, you know. And then one day, his mama, they lived in the same neighborhood as us, or they live in the same neighborhood as us. His mama reached out on Facebook to our little Facebook group and asked if my daughter could come play with her son. And I said, yes, of course. You know, she's been talking about him for ages. Like, I didn't even realize y'all lived in the same neighborhood as us. You know, so that was really cool. And so my daughter became best friends with this little black boy. And then, to top it off, when she found out that this little black boy had 2 black mamas, she didn't bat an eye. Nothing. She accepted all of them for exactly who they were. You know why? Because she wasn't taught any different. She wasn't taught to be scared. She wasn't taught that black people were people you couldn't be friends with, or people that you should, you know, not be around, or this and that. She was allowed to experience it on her own and to see the good. And what she saw was a friend. So that's how I know. I know racism is taught.
I'm going to tell you right up front, this is going to be a little bit of a long answer, but I promise you it is worth it. This is a history lesson with some brutal honesty, and I know what I'm talking about. I have a bachelor's in history, I have a master's in anthropology, and I've done archaeology and historical work all across the Southeast. All right, and I speak the language of white supremacy. Here we go. Prior to the Emancipation Proclamation, white people didn't feel towards black people the same way that they do now. It wasn't what I would categorize as hatred as much as it was ambivalence. The type of ambivalence that you might feel towards an animal. Maybe not some of you, but think of a farmer, how he might feel towards the cattle that he is castrating and branding. Is that hatred? It's ambivalence. And the person next to him who may not even be a farmer, why would he feel hatred towards the farmer's cattle? You got to remember, black people in this country were viewed as livestock. They were viewed as property. They were not treated or viewed as human in any sense. No right to vote, no right to own property, couldn't read and write, branded, bred, skinned, sometimes eaten. But that ambivalence isn't enough of a motivator to get people to take up arms and go fight and die for a cause that is simply the cause of keeping black people enslaved. And I don't care what anybody fucking says, that is exactly what the states were fighting for the right to do. And it wasn't the states, it was the plantation owners. That's who's in power. The plantation owners were telling the states, the representatives, what to do. And in order to sell this to the public so they could raise an army, they needed to incite fear and hatred in an undereducated and impoverished white community in the South. And so they used preachers, just like they do now, to sell this to the public. They sold them fear, because who better to give you a devil to hate than a Christian preacher? And so we have documented examples of this. Preachers across the South preaching to congregations that if black people were freed, they would rise up and revolt. They would burn down all the cities in the South. They would kill white people and grape white women. And when given a devil to fear, ignorant, undereducated, poor white people will latch on to it. They will not only go and fight and die for that cause, they will pay you for the information. They will tithe the preacher, then go home, put on their boots, grab their rifle, and go out and die so that a plantation owner can continue to have free labor. That's how stupid my ancestors were. That's how stupid white people's ancestors were that fought in the Confederacy. And that's how they learned to hate. They learned to hate because plantation owners needed an army and politicians helped them with the preachers to sell a narrative of hate, to give them a devil to hate. And it permeates so much today that white people still won't go into black spaces, even if the party that's happening looks fun as shit. Let me give you an example of that. Every year, twice a year, HBCU teams have rivalry games at Lad People Stadium right here in Mobile, Alabama. And we love marching bands, and we love football, and we love Saturday nights in the fall under beautiful Alabama sky. But you will hardly find a white person in that place, despite the incredible food in the parking lot, the vibes and the dancing and the music inside, the world-class marching band music in the home of Mardi Gras, where we love marching bands so much that we call the parades the Boom Boom. We named Mardi Gras after the bass drum in the marching band, and white people will not go to that event. Do you know why? Because they are fearful. That's where the devils are, in that stadium. That shit has permeated our subconscious so much that even when we're driving in a car 50 miles an hour down the road, if we see a black person on the street, somebody will lock the goddamn doors. Not anymore. The new cars lock automatically, but you get my point. We were taught to hate you and to fear you, and some of us, most of us, are too fucking stupid to see that not only is that wrong, but it doesn't serve our well-being either. They're using us and taking advantage of both us and you, the black community.